What's up, and welcome back to Cleats to Whistle podcast. I am Brad Valdez. My co-host over there, Kevin Watson, and I'm very honored to have Tommy Williams. He's the former PRP coach here in Louisville, Kentucky. Great to have you on, Coach.
I appreciate you having me, and active member of the FFCA.
Okay.
Fired Football Coaches Association.
Fired, not retired, fired.
Yeah. We got a retired one and a fired one, and then just a guy that just started a podcast. So what a crazy bunch. But yeah, man, you and Watson, man, you guys know each other, man.
We go way back from the basement at Beale, Louisville basketball games, and any event that we could dream up to get together. You know, a couple of my buddies, and good old Rob Reeder. God rest his soul, miss him every day. But back in the PRP days of running the state championships in 2012, and so we go back a little bit.
There you go, man. I love it, and just the brotherhood that you know amongst coaches, man. It's a great feeling.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's a cool profession. You know, we were talking before, got a chance to go down to the AFCA convention this past weekend, and I didn't know a soul there, but everybody's willing to walk up and shake your hand and try to, teach you the ropes of what their life looks like, and always willing to lend a helping hand. So, I've been on the phone with multiple guys across the city just talking football in the past couple of months, and it's a fraternity.
So no breaking news at this point, right?
No, I've got no news to share.
I've had several people say, "Hey, you got to get the scoop from Tommy."
Yeah, no scoop here.
Okay.
If anybody knows anything, feel free to let me know. I'll give you my phone number.
Fill him in, man. But yeah, like I say, it's an honor, man. And like you said, you had some adversity this year. But man, let's just jump into the podcast and get the questions rolling.
Sounds good.
Okay. We always, I love starting with the past. You know what I mean? Because you have those mentors that you look up to, and they've taught you so many things, man. Is there any mentors you want to shout out?
Yeah, I mean, I've been blessed to be around some guys that I've got to learn a lot from. Going back to the earliest days that I've kind of been brainwashed as a football coach. Don Hillerick was the founder of the Louisville Bulls around town. So for those that really understand football in this city, know that those are the guys that loved it. And my dad kind of, was in the early days of that. And he's the guy that got me in the door at Manual for my first coaching job, and got to coach with Joe Nichols and understand what a football program is supposed to look like at the highest of levels. And then had the opportunity to work for Jason Heiser, who, that's my guy. He and I are very good friends, and still to this day. And so many people that have got to work with me, and I've always saw a staff in that way that. It's not guys that work for you, it's guys that work with you. And I could go down the row of the Rob Reeders and the guys that you see from afar, the Andrew Coverdells of, how to go about coaching offense. So, I've been really fortunate to learn a lot from some really good football coaches.
Yeah, and you are an awesome an offensive guy, right?
By nature,
to say the least.
Well, it's fun to score points, isn't it?
Yes.
And I've kind of honestly, in recent years, it's been more fun to dig into the defensive side of football. And something that every coach will always tell you to do a little more of is spend some time on that side of the ball, because if you understand that side of the ball a little better, you're obviously going to be more effective as an offensive football coach. But, from early days of wanting to be a quarterback and playing in the front yard and, 3 seconds left on the clock trying to throw game-winning touchdowns.
Love it.
It's where you kind of gravitate towards. But, I had the opportunity at a very young age to call an offense at PRP, and Coach HIigh gave me that opportunity and made a lot of mistakes along the way, but had, a lot of successes too, and coached some really talented kids. But, offense is what I would call my home.
Oh, I love it, man. So basically, you just grew up here in Louisville then?
Yep, born and raised, playground where I spent most of my days. I haven't left, and maybe that's a bad thing. Maybe I should go see the world a little bit. But no, grew up Wyandotte Park over there, Beecher Street, and then moved into the South End when I was about 10. and kind of been out here aside from a couple of years ever since. My first house was out here right off Greenwood Road, and still live in the South End. So,
Boy, if that basement could talk.
Oh, you ain't kidding.
I was gonna say, is there good memories, man, growing up and just you know what I mean? Just you know what I mean? Because the football is a brotherhood. You know what I mean? Just like we all, you know, when our coach was on earlier, man, that's all we talked about was brotherhood.
Oh,
and it's crazy. Like I have so many memories, and it's just crazy, man. It's just crazy. This game brings all races together and so many great stories.
Yeah, well, if some new folks are living in that house on Beale, but I bet there's still a champagne stain on the basement ceiling from when they won a national championship.
That's right.
Oh, shoot.
We celebrated pretty good.
They're good memories, man.
Championship game in that basement.
Dang, that's awesome, man. And where'd you play Little League at?
My first Little League stop was with the Doss Dragons. So I played 1 year over there, and then we transitioned out to Spartan Youth, and that's where I finished Spartan Youth, and then went on to Butler High School in high school. But yeah, my youth league days, I didn't start playing until I was 10. My brother started when he was 7, and so we kind of all, both bounced around a little bit as far as the little leagues were concerned. But yeah, those Stewart guys, you want to talk about it being a fraternity. My group message is lit up with fantasy football right now from guys that I played middle school football with. So yeah, it keeps you together.
And now that you're retired from PRP, you can say the Butler word. You can say it comfortably.
As soon as Coach Reynolds went over there, I think we had to take a little bit of the hatred off of it. He spent some time coaching with us for 2 years, and very good football coach, and got the opportunity that he always deserved.
Great guy.
Incredible guy.
Yeah.
And obviously wish him the best. So yeah, a little bit of a sting off of that word.
So the ESPN game, are we going to bring that?
No. There's never going to be the sting off of that one. That hurts.
Wow.
Yeah, that's a decent story, so I'll tell it really quick.
Yes. I love story time. Story time,
A lot of
baby.
people don't know this story. This is great.
My version of it, so you have to have the context of what happened. So, it's a band on the field moment. We think that he's down. He was down. And so our whole sideline runs onto the field, and this is 2010? Yeah, that was 10. And so we're all out there, and he's bobbing and weaving, and he ends up scoring. And
let's not forget the referee blew the whistle on our sideline.
1,000,000,000% blew the whistle.
Okay, let's throw that in there because that absolutely happened.
Long story short, it was a complete catastrophic disaster that went in Butler's favor. Well, I go into work at Humana on Monday morning, and I go to get my coffee, and so I'm the first person in there because I got to be out in order to go to work or in order to go to practice later on that day. And I walk into our break room, and the TV's never on, and it happened to be on. And it's never on ESPN, and it happened to be on ESPN. And I just glance out of and I'm like, there's no way. There is no way I just saw. I just thought I had watched the film a little too much. No, number 6, SportsCenter Top 10. And I was sick to my stomach.
Oh, my goodness.
And they didn't tell the whole story. Let's put that
out there. Oh, man. That's crazy. You know what I mean? Because I don't like Butler, just because I was at Western for 2 years, and we played for the Keg and Nails, and we have our own story too, where they actually missed a field goal. It went underneath the crossbar, and they said it was good, and we were at home at Western.
Is it who are we gonna have to call?
Exactly.
Is it Mitch? Is it one?
I think Don Hudson had something to do with that.
This is just some good memories, man. Good stories, man. That's awesome. And outside of football, man, you got any hobbies?
Hobbies? It's all probably sports related. I love golfing, so we do that a little bit. Go down to the lake a couple of times in the summer, but I also have 4 kids, so we got an older daughter. She's in 6th grade now, and then got 2 twin girls that are in kindergarten, and then a little man that's 2 years old. So chasing them around is essentially my hobby now. But yeah, no, it's film on the laptop and football on the TV, and that's life.
I love it, man. I'm still, you know what I mean. I'm still the guy that screenshots plays on Twitter, or you know what I mean. I'm trying to film something that I see, or DVR it, and then rewind it, and then record it.
Draw it up.
Yeah. Try to do all that stuff, man. That's my wife. She's like, what are you doing? What are you doing, man? I was like,
can't turn it off.
Yeah, you can't. But did you have a certain number that you wore, and did like have a meaning to you?
Yes. So my first number was 12, and that was, I guess, in honor of Jim Kelly. So that was my favorite player when I was growing up. I started to become a Bills fan when I was the young age of 4. And there was one guy at the party that was on the Bills, and everybody was against him. And I said, well, I'm going to ride with you. And so that lasted me 4 long, hard years as a child and learning how to hate losing. But
yes.
So, yeah, Jim Kelly was number 12, and then got over to Spartan Youth, like I said earlier, and they didn't have 12, so I had to wear 10. So it was basically 1210. So if you see my email address, TommyWilliams1210@gmail.com.
There you go, man. There you go. That's a good little nugget too, man. So now you know the backstory of the email.
You can use that email address for any coaching inquiries you may have.
Yes.
Happy to answer any questions.
Yes. Okay, and like what wanted you to start getting into coaching?
Man, that goes back to I'm literally 3 or 4 years old, and I'm with my dad at a practice, and we're bringing it up at the end of the day, and I was yelling at the guys running around the track, run faster, and so they tried to get me to break it down, and they called me coach for the remainder of the season, and so I've been brainwashed my entire life that that's what I was going to be. But then you kind of get away from it when you get in high school and try to figure out what you're going to do with the rest of your life. But Don Hillerick, I wanted to go play for the Bulls a little bit, and still had that football itch that I wanted to scratch. And he said that they had some freshman opportunities or openings at Manual, and so said that I wanted to try to get into it. And it took me all of one spring practice to say, this is what I'm going to do with the rest of my life. And you get out there and you get to interact with kids, and you get to see the look on their faces and the eagerness to learn something from you. And my heart beats fast thinking about it. So it's who I am. I've tried to ask myself over the last month if that, you're not just a football coach. No, I was lying to myself. So, yeah, we'll see where it takes us next.
Man, that's good stuff, Coach. Good stuff. And now, like you did have some adversity this season. But when you did have to deal with the stress of being a head coach, how did you deal with that?
Yeah. It's a challenge, and it's a lot less about the losses. I mean, y'all saw Rick Pitino this week about his thoughts on losing, right? So I won't repeat those here. But I feel the same.
Hey, it's
reality.
NC-17, buddy. Go for
it. Yeah, I hate losing, but the harder parts are Monday through Thursdays and making sure that the kids are doing what they need to get yourself to Friday. So, the constant message that's being preached is, fellas, let's not get in our own way. So no issues in second period, no issues in the lunchroom. Get your grades in order so that way we don't have to deal with ineligibility. And what our kids go home to every day. I mean, to say it frank, and a lot of it you're having to overcome their circumstances, and you have to do that with 22-plus kids on a weekly basis, and to do that at the 6A level, you've got to try to make sure that you got 22 different kids that are going to be able to help you out. And so, I mean, the juggling of, whether it's depth or scheme or film breakdown, that's the fun stuff. The stuff that really weighs on you and that you have to try to find a way to get through is just the nuisances of sometimes adults and how people function with one another. And not the on the field stuff, not the wins, not the losses. But
that's part of being a head
just
coach.
Getting to Friday.
It's the off field stuff that is what drives head coaches crazy.
Yeah.
Well, the on field stuff's easy.
Yeah, and drives a lot of guys out of it.
Friday nights are easy.
Well, in this time of year, right? So we're in the middle, it's January, and you got to get in the weight room, and maybe the first couple of weeks people are excited to get back into the weight room, and then into January, beginning of February, Coach, I got
to work.
You got excuse season. That's what we call football season, is excuse season. So, getting over those hurdles and just acknowledging that you're dealing with kids.
Yeah, but how do you deal with that, man? You just get away and just try to turn off the football coach in you a little bit. You know what I mean? Spend time with the family.
That's good advice.
I will tell you, knowing this guy, it doesn't happen.
It is tough. And no, I tell you what, having a wife that's willing to put up with it. And I mean that genuinely, because when you go home and you got that look on your face that you can't wipe off of it, and she's trying to understand what she can do to help you, and sometimes there's nothing. It's just, man, it was a bad day, and dealing with it is waking up the next day and hitting the reset button and trying not to carry Monday into Tuesday and Tuesday into Wednesday. And that's something I do think that I learned in the years of being a head coach, is that you can't carry a week forward. And we tried to, that's why we did Saturday morning practices for so long, where I want to put that loss behind us on Saturday morning, because when I show up on Monday, it's back to beat whoever it is that week. But yeah, I mean, if you're being honest with yourself, I think it's tough to unplug from the stresses of it, and you don't really get an opportunity to do that until, either November or December.
Yeah, and it sounds like you got a rock at home where, you can probably vent a little bit. You can probably just, let some emotion out, and that's what it's all about.
She knew what she was getting into.
100%. Yeah, that is disgust.
Oh, yeah.
That's the first
that's part of it. I mean,
the first date conversation.
If you don't have that support at home, you're going to be miserable.
Amen.
You're going to be you're just not going to be able to be yourself, and if you've got a good woman behind you, it makes it so much easier.
Mm-hmm.
Amen. And then okay, well, last season, let's just get into it. You guys had one of the most impressive wins that I thought was Bullitt East.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Going into that, you know what I mean? How did you feel?
It's the most proud football season I've ever coached, and we went to a state championship in 2017. We had a really good team. This is genuinely the most proud that I've been at the coaching job that we did. I'll try not to get long-winded. Yeah, and I told the kids that at our last game walking off the field at Ballard that this is my favorite team that I've coached, and because of what they had to overcome. And so, week one, I signed us up to go play Taft, and they've got 9 Division I football players up there, and we're trying to get a new quarterback ready to go. And if we play that team week 4, maybe it turns out a little bit different, but they were really good. And then that next week, we go out and we're supposed to play Bullitt East on Friday night. It's pouring down and lightning, and so we got to delay it to Saturday. And normally at our place, if they get out of routine and we got to find a way to feed them and you got to get them there, and it normally don't go well. And we get arguably the best win that we've had in several years in our program, and so we were really proud of that. And then the following week, we turn around, and on the 4th play from offensive scrimmage, we lose what, in my opinion, was the best football player in the state of Kentucky. And so, I'm driving up to Cincinnati to go watch one of our former players, and I'm just thinking to myself, how in the world are we going to get these kids to show back up, because they know what we lost. And we kind of use the reference of Superman and Booby Miles, and that Booby Miles team, they still went to a state championship. And so just trying to find ways to motivate, and we got them out of it. And we go and we beat a North Hardin team that I know they went through some logistical things, but won their district on the field, and then beat a good Meade County team, and take Manual into the 4th quarter, and we're almost there. And then we got to play St. X the following week, and that doesn't go well, but finish up well with Hopkinsville. And, man, that Ballard game, and for anybody that got a chance to see it, and Dada, I love you, so I'm not blaming you. I put my arm around him at the end of it, but we're one drop ball on a special that could have given us a chance to win the game. And then that Ballard team goes, and they're in a state semifinal, and they're in a 1-score game and could have been playing in a state championship. So, for everything that we had done to convince the families in our neighborhood to stay at PRP, I am very, very proud of the work that we did there.
Yeah, and I'm gonna say, for a 6A schedule, and you had these kids buy in.
Sure.
And that's not easy. Like you said, in the neighborhoods where we're at, you know what I mean? It's tough, man. But spotlight, spotlight some of those senior guys, or, that you just put your arm around, like you said, show them some love, man.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And Santana Creighton's who I was referencing as far as best player in the state of Kentucky. He's the best player I've ever coached, and I've coached an NFL kid, and I know that's saying a lot. And Taywan, I love you, and he proved.
Taywan would probably agree. I'm gonna be honest.
He proved his worth, but I'm telling you right now, Santana Creighton will be a name that everybody will know. So he committed to Tennessee State, and Coach Eddie George down there loves him. So I think he's going to get on the field. He's got to get back from that ACL, but when he does, I think that he's going to have an extremely bright future. Therick Gathright, we're trying to get him placed right now. Might be walking on at Western Kentucky or Eastern Kentucky. He's got preferreds at both of those places.
That's the big dude we were talking about at the All-Star game. He's a load, man.
Yeah, he's a heck of a football player and good kid. Malachi Blackburn was just talking to K-State earlier. He was a 4-year kid for us, and Therick and Santana joined us a little later in their high school career, but Mally was kind of the core of that group, a guy who got everybody together, and so he's going to have a bright future. And Dontre Richardson's probably going to continue to play football, and Dada that I was referencing got to go to his baby shower last weekend, and so he's going to be a dad soon, and that's when you talk about relationships with kids. And I don't want to forget to shout out my quarterback, Deron Jones, who had never played quarterback at the high school level until this football season and turned into a pretty good one.
And quarterback is not a very good position to play for this guy. Because I mean that in
I get it.
the greatest way possible, because he's very critical. He was a quarterback. He's very critical, very hard on those guys. But if they listen and follow his leadership, they've all turned out. Yeah. I mean, we've had some.
I mean, go back to Coach Drew Duckworth now.
Absolutely.
Yeah, no.
Absolutely.
The guys.
Some guys that had no business probably playing quarterback, some of them, that actually followed along and went along with it and turned out to be some great football players.
Man, I've got some great relationships with those kids still, and that's what it's all about, being able to get close to them and to a point where they believe in you and you believe in them, and they'll hit you up for the rest of your life. So, yeah.
Okay, we've got a couple questions, man. We'll get you out of here, man. But you know what I mean? What's your go-to memory of coaching or playing the game of football, man? What's that one memory that you always got? Man, I love this game because of this reason.
Oh, I was trying to think of I didn't play very well, so I'm going to go back to my youth league days, and I can still see the ball fall 2 inches in front of my hand in our senior championship, city championship. And that's kind of the way that I see football. Maybe it's a little bit
that's just decided to play quarterback.
Yeah. But no, I mean, just not being able to make the play. But as far as coaching is concerned, the one that still gives me chills when I think about it was Taiwan's draft night, and just to be able to be a part of something like that. The relationships that you have, it's not all about the kid that went to the NFL, but when the tool that we use to help bond with these kids is something that then changes their life and then allows, him to come back to the school and into the community and be the beacon and the guy that's like, man, I can go do that. I was standing in the back, and, they're all up front and cameras and lights, but his agent kind of hit me and he said, Tennessee. And I about lost it because I'm like, I can drive right down the street to go see that. And so, those and, the signing days and the on-the-field stuff's fun, and the calling the perfect play. I mean, I can tell you a trillion stories of those, but it's the moments off the field that ring the bell.
Nice. Last question. You always learn something about yourself every season. What was that what did you learn about yourself this season?
Chapters. I thought that I was going to be a PRP for the rest of my life. I genuinely did. And for some reason, I haven't learned the fact that you have to close a chapter and then there's going to be a new one and you got to go write a new one. And so now it's time for me to go write a new one. I don't know what that is. I think I got writer's block right now. I'm sitting down with the pen and the paper, but we're going to get it figured out. I know that it's going to be around football. And I know it's going to be impacting the lives of young people. And as long as I keep that as the why, I think we're going to be all right.
There you go. Coach, you got any questions for him?
Yeah, and it's funny he brought that up. As I reached out to Tommy when all this went down, and I told him, I was like, you've been there so long. You're PRP football. I mean, was it 17 years?
I was at PRP for 14, so 16 coaching total, but 14.
Yeah, I mean, that's a long time.
No, I know a lot of people don't. Time. Yeah, you don't remember what was before it, right? I don't remember what was before it.
And I was lucky to have 7 or 8 of those years with him, and God, we had some fun, man.
Oh, a lot of fun.
And we won't talk about the Trinity, Trinity game, but just getting there.
Don't talk about the fun either.
I mean, we could bump this up to an R-rated show pretty quick, but no, seriously, I mean, the first thing that popped in my mind when I saw that he was gone was, now what? He is. I mean, he's been PRP football. You know, he coached offensive coordinator with Jason, then he took over. He's been there a long time, and that doesn't really happen much anymore.
No, and it's,
I mean,
you're
to
fortunate.
spend that amount of time at the same place is unheard of, and that's the first thing that popped in my mind. And I reached out to him. I was like, dude, you are PRP football.
Well,
now what?
Yeah, and thank you. But, I mean, life goes on. I saw a tweet about Nick Saban, and it said, when you think that you're important, just remember that they replaced Nick Saban in 48 hours.
That's right.
So.
And that's right. And you'll move on to something else,
Sure.
and you'll be fine. But it stings. It does.
Yeah, well, and it's
especially the guys that coach with you and
Right.
the guys that played for you. I mean, I get it.
Yeah, that's the hard part.
That's
and
the hard part.
You hope that PRP and they will. They keep the doors open to the kids that'll come back. And that's the sad part of it is you think 5 years from now, 10 years from now, those dudes will be back and on the sideline saying hello to you, bringing their kids in there, and you don't really get that opportunity. But yeah, I mean, it's a chance to go do something different and shake your life up. And
And one thing about these kids, the Fairdale kids, the PRP kids, the Valley kids, they're resilient.
Sure. Oh, 100%.
Nothing's ever been given to them.
Nope.
And they work for it. And trust me,
It's a
the
badge
PRP
of honor.
kids will be just fine.
Amen.
They will be just fine.
There you go.
But I for one, we went round and round 7-on-7s. We never had the chance to play each other. We won't get into that. But we never had a chance to play in a real game. But we went at it. But we've always been friends afterwards. We've always shook hands. And
It's all competitiveness,
and
right?
It is.
Yeah.
And I'm going to put it out there that it's not going to be the same without him on the sideline.
Well, I appreciate that. I do.
There we go. Well, you heard the man. He's got the pen in his hand, and like I always say, everyone has a story. We're here for them to tell it. Cleats to Whistle podcast.